Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Green Dreamers. We've got a super exciting game for you today. We've got the National Joust Champion, Nate Tarantelli, fighting off against the National Melee Champion, Ryan Erichsen. Nate is sporting a Stark Fealty deck, the same one that he used to take the title at Nationals. And Ryan is fighting with his Lannister Banner of the Dragon deck. And I believe, Ryan, you placed top cut with this deck at Nationals.
I sure did. I actually was top at Swiss after the first day going into graduated cut with this deck at 5-0. So we'll get deck lists up later, but it did very well today. And Tyler...
Ryan was only top cut of first day because he beat me in the last round. We were both playing at the number one table of the last round of day one. So we all three made day two. We all made the top cut to the top 8. And Ryan and I unfortunately got knocked out in the first round, but our buddy Nate went down to take it down.
Yeah, and you can actually see all of our matches from Origins on Rob St. John's channel. It shows all of the top 8 coverage on his channel over there, where you can actually see Nate take down the whole tournament with Stark. So in this game, it looks like we both got a pretty good setup. I believe I mulled into this, but I got Jorah and Jamie with Rose Road, whereas Nate got Maester Luwin, Septa Mordain, Gates of Winterfell, and the Rose Road. So we both got pretty good setups here.
So this first turn I decided to drop trading because I have Winterfell in my hand, and that's pretty much the only time where it will be easy to play Winterfell is when you have that 10 gold. Just getting the King's Road and Eddard out was money because at this point I'm able to drop my whole hand in this turn.
And I open with Calm because even though I do have a good military presence, my hand drawing up was actually not that great, and I didn't want to have to sacrifice someone for claim this early in the game. So I wanted to play it safe, have a free turn where I didn't have to worry about anyone dying, and hopefully get some good characters on the board.
So Ryan, obviously the 3 gold from trading is really going to help you. It looks like you drew up a weenie with the Wildling Scout, but like what are you trying to do in this turn? I mean, it's obvious that you're only going to be able to play one good player, probably Tyrion. Are you thinking about using both of those milks?
It is come across. The only target I really want to hit with Milk is Eddard because he can be a super big issue, especially when he's out there turn 1, because Stark actually has very good power gain. And I'm pretty bummed with what I've drawn because I don't have a single kill event in my hand. So the usual goal of Landy Dragon is to keep your opponent's board down and constant pressure on them, and without any form of a kill, it's going to be a pretty rough road from here, even though Milk will help slow it down.
So you opt to play another Rose Road instead of the Western Fiefdoms. If you had played the Fiefdoms, you would have enough to play both Tyrion and Syrio, but you thought milking Eddard was more important.
Yeah, I needed to stop the renown gain because I don't have a kill right now, and I can't let you get a whole bunch of power early in the game, especially since mine Jamie is milked as well. So I'm planning on going for the long game with this Rose Road. I keep drawing all these econ locations, which has been an issue for this deck since it's so expensive, but I just need to dig and find something to answer Ed and the Winterfell that you popped out.
What do you have in the deck that can let you reach into it and hopefully pull something that's going to step you up?
Well, I have Maester Pycelle for draw and Counting Coppers for draw, but I'm mainly right here looking for either a Tears, Put to the Sword, a Miri Mazdur, a Mountain, something to put pressure on him and make him play defense, or something that I can answer his people with. Because right now, he right down there at Sansa, he actually has renown from Septa, and all the +1 gains. It's going to be pretty hard for me if I can't make this board thin as soon as possible.
Yeah, Sansa is 7 strength right now, with Winterfell giving her +1 and Septa giving her +2 and renown. Sansa is Nathan's strongest character on the board right now. Nate, do you find that you pull Septa often to give Sansa that boost at the same time?
It's really nice having Septa because it allows you to put the pressure on from both sides of the spectrum. Sansa and Arya from the lower side, and then obviously Eddard and Robb from the higher end.
And it gives you that all-important green icon that you're lacking in Stark.
I agree. I think recently Stark has been able to answer the problem of not having a lot of intrigue icons. In fact, in this deck, I'm not even running Little Birds because I just don't think I need them. I never had a problem with finding an intrigue icon throughout the game.
Yeah, and you have another intrigue in your hand right now with Cat, and I think Sansa, especially with Septim Ordain, is now like just a super solid character. Definitely auto-include over the other Sansa for this type of deck.
And I think Stark in general is strong right now because most of our meta here in the Midwest, and especially at Origins, was Lannister heavy, and Stark just has answers to Lannister, whether that's Cat, Winterfell, huge strength characters compete with their huge strength, and just the vast amount of kill that they have in their house alone. So I think right now Stark is in a very good matchup against this deck.
So this first turn, I decide to pass challenges. I don't have a military claim. I really don't want to give him more gold by doing an intrigue challenge because he has Tyrion, and obviously he has no power to steal.
So here I do a military challenge with Jorah and Jaime, just trying to get some pressure because I know that he's going to swing back at me next turn with something even bigger. So it looks like Ed blocks and he claims Rickon. Jorah gets a Renown and Betrayal token with those cool national tokens that we got.
So I opt to kill Rickon here instead of Sansa's dupe because a common plot that you run into when playing against Lannister is First Snow. I've got Cat in my hand, and a dupe on Sansa will just let me weather the storm, which, especially First Snow being a winter plot, those are my weaker turns, so I always try and keep that in mind when playing, and that's why I sacked Rickon.
So it looks like I just do an intrigue challenge, stealthing Sansa. It gets stuffed, so nothing happens. I was just trying to see if he would misplay and not block the correct amount. He ends up pulling another Cat with Gates of Winterfell, and then it looks like the challenges phase is over from there.
Yep, so pretty boring first turn, but honestly that's the beauty of this Stark deck is you can be aggressive or defensive. It doesn't even matter. You just win.
And with the cancels and all the renown that Stark has, you can literally decide when you're going to turn that button on to put the pressure on them, which is why Lannister struggles with it, because they think they're winning the first two plots, and then out of nowhere you win in a matter of one challenge phase.
So, Ryan, are you thinking about First Snowing, even though he does have that duped Sansa on the board?
I think I am, because I have a cereal in my hand, and I have a duped Tyrion, so even if he gets through a military claim, I have a dupe to save it. The crappy thing about this situation is I don't have one of my big dudes. I mean, Jaime's pretty big, but I'm looking for Miri, Mountain, Ilan Payne, Tywin, and I'm just not seeing it. So it looks like I opt to do Confiscation to try to make Jaime a little more impactful for the First Snow that I'm going to be doing eventually. Just, hoping I draw something better than the Econ and Milks I keep pulling into.
I like the Confiscation play here. I don't think playing First Snow this turn would have been the right call because you can get out Sirio, but if you don't top deck into anything, you're really leaving yourself short the next couple of turns. So I like the Confiscation here. It gets you some more pressure.
So building orders, I actually like building orders in this deck a lot, and obviously you do too, because you have so many attachments and important locations that you need to pick up. Have you been running building orders often in your Stark decks, or is this something that you've just recently thrown in because of Winterfell?
I would say I recently added it only because of Winterfell. The original intent was I would grab Winterfell as soon as possible, but after playing with the plot, it's such a nice card. You can grab Winterfell if you need it, I picked up Ice this turn, which is a great on-demand kill. You can pick up Milk. It's just a very versatile plot, which I like in this deck because I'm trying to have as many answers to the problems I run up against.
And that's why it's so versatile and good against most decks, is because literally the plots, the cards, they literally have an answer for everything your opponent is trying to do, and then they can even just come back with you with Renown, or Rob standing everyone on the board, or Winterfell cancels.
The big thing with building orders is that you can search for locations and attachments. And it's just, there's so many cards that you can pick
And
that are all really good.
yeah, in a meta where everyone's running Milk, like being able to just grab one of those Milks from your deck, because everyone's running at least 3 Milks, right? At least.
It's
If
either-
not 6 Milks.
It's 3 or 0. But like Nate's deck, we know runs 3 milks. Let's say Ryan confiscates the milk off the Jamie this round. If in those 10 cards Nate picks up a milk, boom, Jamie's still milked. And that's pretty strong.
Jamie's still milked, and Ryan's just wasted a plot, essentially.
Yeah, which Nate, you're totally right. That's huge. Just having a 4/5/1 no text box plot sucks.
So it looks like I play another Rose Road, just preparing for an even longer game, because I drew into another Tyrion, which is not what I want to see. But I end up playing Sirio, trying to prepare for the first snow that I'm probably going to end up doing next turn, and I still have 1 extra gold left over to pop on that cat right there. So preparing for when I eventually draw an answer to what I'm looking for.
So, right now, I played Ice on Eddard. Are you worried about that at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty worried because the only one with a dupe is Tyrion, so if you end up getting this military challenge off, you can easily kill the Jamie that I've been working to try and get to trigger, or the Sirio that will give me extra military icons during the first snow. So, sadly, with all your pumps and everything that's going on, I think I'm going to have to play defensive this round.
And one thing I just wanted to mention real quick before we get too far off topic is, Ryan, you did not trip dupe your Tyrion, and I love it. I think it's the right play, like 90% of the time. I remember at Origins, I'd see a lot of games where people would trip dupe their characters with like 2 cards in hand, and I'm like, nah, dog, just leave it in your hand.
So is that...
Claim.
Yeah, that's what you're doing? You're using it for intrigue claim soak?
Yes, one of the mistakes newer players, and even vets sometimes do, is putting up a triple dupe. With a dupe, yeah, there could be this god play where they get a targeted kill and they do something else to kill it, but in most cases, you never want to get a trip dupe, because not only can you try and soak up your hand with more important cards, but if they get you in a situation where they get a march off and it's the triple dupe guy and someone with a whole bunch of power on it, you're going to feel really terrible about having to march the guy with power or the 3 copies that are in your deck.
I think that's an excellent point, just especially because most people run marched. Hell, I even run marched. And that's a play I could see myself doing. If I had another Catelyn Stark in my hand, I would gladly march her right now to get rid of that milk instead of duping her.
Right, and even if my Tyrion gets milked, that's another play where I might march to get my Tyrion just to play a new one that isn't milked, and that can be another safer option than trying to get rid of attachments any other way.
Just saving the 3rd copy in your hand is so much more versatile and just a better play overall.
Yeah, I agree with Tyler. You want to give yourself as many options as you can when making your plays. And it's always something to consider, like, what gives me the most options? And something as simple as not duping your character again is one of those ways.
So it looked like Sansa did an intrigue, and I let it go unopposed, and he ended up plucking a card out of my hand. It was just another econ card. Then he comes back with the Eddard with Ice, which forces me into the decision we were just talking about earlier, either letting it go and my Jamie's dead, or I have to literally all-out block and not get to do that many challenges. And at this point, I have to all-out block, because next turn, if I'm first snowing, I can have 2 people with stealth, and I can get by Ed and try and get a kill effect off. Looks like I follow up with a power challenge, Stealthing Cat. I'm just trying to stop his crazy amount of power gain. He only has 3 cards in hand, so I'm not terribly worried about it, but I can maybe try and force him to block or get unfavorable position by doing it in the power that the intrigue order. Sadly, with no kill events though, the intrigue isn't as important as he knows it usually is.
I think it's a good play to go after my power, especially because Stark can just run away with it so quickly. Between Eddard and Rob.
So it looks like I did do an intrigue, and because Nate was first player, he got to trigger Winterfell first and before my Tyrion reaction. So that's why I took the 2 gold back, and he ended up stopping the gold, blocking the challenge, and causing me to lose dominance.
Yeah, losing dominance there, gotta hurt.
That's a big blow to morale, I think, was losing that dominance.
Yeah, Nate got 1 power.
You're still in a good position, though. You still have 1 power over him. You're set up to do first snow of winter, which I assume, yep, that's what you end up doing. Nathan with the confiscation. Nate, would you have played that confiscation if he didn't also milk your Catelyn?
No. If he didn't milk Cat as well, I think I might have tried to get Rob out. But knowing that first snow will come eventually, I want to have my characters that are staying on the board be as effective as they can be. So I think confiscation was the right play here.
So it looks like I ended up getting first, which is what I want on a first snow, so I can just press the advantage with a military attack. And you do pick the milk on Ed over Cat. What was the reason behind that?
I've already got Winterfell out. Seems a little redundant to have Cat be the one to get confiscated, and Eddard is just so good at closing out games. He adds to the pressure, and that's what this deck excels at. You put the pressure on your opponent either through killing their characters and then following up with a march, or just rushing to a win. I mean, you just really keep them on the defense the entire time, and I think a lot of people don't know how to react to that. I think Stark is very good in the meta right now only because people can't come back from the early game pressure that you put on.
So currently, as the board stands, you're going to end up losing 2 characters in a dupe, whereas I only lose 2 characters. And sadly, as this deck tends to do, it draws the wrong cards at the wrong time. So I didn't see a single kill event in these first 3 draw phases, which is what I really needed on this turn. And I decided to opt into Ill and Pain, seeing what you're going to play, but mainly to get the dupe of Sansa off the board, so that way you actually end up losing 3 characters, and you're put in a tougher position than you were before.
Do you like that play instead of getting out Illyrio? Considering Tyrion, you're probably going to have enough gold to use Illyrio.
That was the thought at first, but in reality, I can see that I'm so focused on trying to get just power gain right now because I can't clear the board effectively without the kill events that this deck usually has. So I need to be able to get challenges off and have your board thin. And I was hoping you didn't draw anything so that I could have you down to 2 characters followed up with a march. Because if I march Ed or Cat, that's a huge blow to you. Now, we'll have to wait and see what you play, but that was the intent, was to get you down to 2 and then march you.
And even using Ill and Pain to get Sansa off the board is net power gain in your favor, right? You know, getting rid of that 1 power honor, and there's a full round where she doesn't get renowned.
Right, and it was more about getting characters off the board, because you just had so many characters at plot 1. Like, it was really hard to try and even win challenges. And seeing Rob across the board just kills me, because now my plan of marching, I can still get a high target person on the march, but it's not going to be as impactful if you have 2 characters left after a march as opposed to 1.
I really like the Ill and Pain move here. If I'm not able to play a 4-cost character, just being left with 2 people on a first snow of winter leaves you so susceptible to march. So I think ultimately you made the right call. It's just unfortunate that I got a Rob Stark out.
Yeah, and it just leaves me in a tough situation as I think over my challenges, because without a kill event, you're just gonna... a military is only gonna kill a dupe of Cat. And looking at the board, your Ed is a huge strength of 9 with Rob at a 6, I can't actually beat your military power. So I know ice is getting off, and it turns out this first snow of winter turn is actually going to hurt me more than it helped me.
I think you're right, Ryan. This
Substitute
first snow turn really hurts you because now I'm able to follow up with March to the Wall next turn if I'm able to dwindle your board down enough.
You chose Tyrion for Syrio preemptively. Why did you do that? Why not leave yourself the flexibility to do it when you need to do it, especially if you're not attacking with Tyrion right away?
If I might answer for Ryan here, he's already now ill in pain, and he's just giving as many military icons as he can.
It's basically, right now, Jaime is not kneeling, so I can get a military challenge off, maybe freak him out and make him try and do something, maybe use Winterfell, do whatever. In reality, I can't beat his military even if everyone's standing, and with Tyrion getting the military icon, he can't just swing with 2 people if he wants to guarantee something.
My thinking was more along the lines of Syrio's stealth. Since, like you said, you can't win a military on defense no matter what, and you're already getting a free military challenge with Jaime, why not try to give someone who doesn't have stealth to maybe get a power challenge or an intrigue challenge that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise?
So my options for Syrio are he's not going to do himself, Tyrion to get an extra military, or Jaime to get a stealth icon. Jaime getting a stealth icon with Syrio does give it unopposed, but I don't have a put, so it doesn't even matter at that point. I'm trying to threaten with Tyrion. Maybe I have something up my sleeve. Maybe make Nate miscount and have to block with Rob. I know I can't stop it, and he has cancels with Winterfell, so I pretty much am accepting the fact that I'm going to get iced this turn. So I'm trying to get him to mess up and block with Rob on the first challenge, thinking that he needs to either let it go unopposed, which is what he did, or have to use both to win his military challenge. Tyrion already has stealth, so I can also try and get a challenge through and make him block unfavorably. So I'm just accepting the fact that I'm going to lose the military, but I'm trying to see if he'll misplay and block in the wrong way.
Okay, so we're wrapping up the round with Nathan at 7 power and Ryan at 5. That was a huge swing for Nathan because he started off the round with 1 power.
It was 3.
Oh, it was 3, went down to 1, then got up to 7 during the challenges. What plots are you thinking about playing right now, Ryan? You just took a huge hit. Do you feel the pressure? You lost Jaime and a dupe of Tyrion. Yeah, you've got Illyrio in your hand, but do you think it's going to be enough?
Yeah, I'm in a pickle here. Haven't seen any of the kill that this deck is designed to get, and I need to find an answer. So I have 3 Rose Roads, so I still have gold if I play accounting. I'm desperately trying to find an answer because he still has 2 huge guys out, and I'm struggling here to find an answer.
So I play March to the Wall this turn because I envisioned Ryan maybe getting rid of Ilan Payne or Syrio. Payne especially because I've got a handful of 3 cost and lower cards. So that's why I played March, and he discarded Tyrion, which is just fantastic because now I don't have to worry about Tyrion.
Unbeknownst to you, he's got another one in his hand, which is why that was a really great choice to march him. Obviously, you know that you can play him again. But what a draw up, Ryan. What a friggin' Counting Coppers turn. Hound, Gregor, Put, Miri, Burned Men is also a great card. Like, this is the hand. This is probably the perfect hand that you needed to draw.
Not trip duping that Tyrion was amazing in this scenario, because you were able to march that Tyrion and still play another one.
Right, and it kind of bums me out seeing all the cards I drew up with Counting Coppers, because they are literally 3 plots too late. If I had any of these guys on my plot 1, it would have been a very different game. Granted, I'm still in not a terrible position, but seeing the Milk just played against me is totally detrimental, because that was probably the only way I could keep characters down to where I want to get a Miri or a Mountain or a Put Off.
Sure. I'll also add, Nate, I really like the way you played your turn this round. You played the Winterfell Steward first or the Milk first?
I played Milk first because I'm going to be dropping characters that are 3 and less, and currently Payne has no targets, so milking him first just seems like the smart thing to do.
And I 100% agree. Milk him before he's able to eat one of those 3 cost or less characters.
Ryan, do you have thoughts of getting a put off this turn? Like, do you think that you can manage it? Are you trying to make it happen?
I am absolutely trying to make it happen, and I baited with the intrigue. Obviously, I need the gold, but I baited because I wanted him to be scared of a tears, and that's exactly what he was. He totally fell into my trap because Nate and me play mind games, and I always win. And he used Winterfell right there, and that enabled me to use Syria with Ilan Payne and stealthing both of his military icons. And that's one of the struggles with Winterfell against a deck that runs both Put and Tears. You have to decide which one you're going to try and negate with Winterfell.
You went first, correct, Ryan?
Yeah.
And so the timing with the Tyrion before the Winterfell worked out in your favor this time, right?
Yeah, because you were the first player, you got to get Tyrion's effect off first, and then Winterfell was triggered.
So I opted to kill Eddard. It sucks that the person with ice had a dupe, and that's exactly why he put ice on that person with a dupe, in case something like that happened. So I was forced to kill Eddard, which is good for me, but with an ice and military claim, my board is dwindling.
And Ryan, while you still can play trading with the Pentoshi and get out some bomb characters next turn, Nate is quite up on power.
And that's the exact reason I was trying to do power challenges over intrigue early in the game, because Stark can literally do this. In order for me to get my tricks off, because I had such a bad draw, I had to overcommit my whole board, and that just let him get unopposed power, power gain, renown, and it's just not a good position for me. So basically I'm throwing a Hail Mary here with trading with the Pentoshi, trying to get something to control Rob, because after that I think I can get through the game. It's just I have to get rid of the renowned characters. So it looks like I do open with trading, and Nate opens with Wardens of the North. I don't like seeing that, because that's a good gold, good initiative. He gets to choose who's first player, and obviously he's about to win. He picks first. I'm just not in a good position, and I drew my answers way too late, whereas Nate had his right at the beginning.
Yeah, it's also the plot Wardens of the North really makes you getting Miri off that much harder. Stark usually doesn't have a ton of intrigue, even though Nathan's had a pretty strong intrigue presence this game. Wardens of the North is a great way to get around that by hopping in an Ed or a Rob into that intrigue challenge.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that I have more intrigue out than military. Ryan's honestly probably not worried about military, but luckily for me, I'm so close to the finish line, I don't need to worry about it either. I'm just focusing on power this turn. I got Sansa and Septa for renown. Rob's got renown. I'm thinking if I can play my cards right, I might be able to finish it off here, maybe the next plot.
And that's one with the current meta. Lannister is just amazing, and Stark is the counter to Lanny. So it's even more important to have the best setups you can have, because that's what determines games in 2.0 right now, is the setups. mine looking at it was good, but I didn't have answers to follow up with my setup, whereas the Stark player did, and it's just hard to dig yourself out of a hole if you don't have a direct answer for one of the Bond characters that get played on turn 1 that Stark usually does.
That's, I think, what Stark's strength is it has those answers for almost any scenario, on top of having really, really solid characters.
Not only do their answers work for all these different scenarios, they're repeatable. Winterfell works every single round, and so it's a really good counter for these effects like Miri and Tyene that work every single round. You know, if you're running another house, you can only have so many treacheries, so many Gaston Greys, but Winterfell's there to stay.
And if this were in a big tournament, you just need to not keep yourself down. In this game, it was just a matter of not drawing the events that I needed. I needed a put, a tears, some sort of treachery to stop some of his effects going on. And you just got to roll with the punches in a tournament like this, because in 2.0, if you get a bad mulligan, you just have to keep going and try and hope that you get a better one next game. So I just play Miri, Hound, Viserion, trying to flood the board. I only had 2 power icons in my hand, and it's not going to be enough to get the onslaught, especially with Winterfell giving everyone a +1. Robb and Sansa have renown. He can jump people in, so even if I overblock, he just puts enough in to win. And I'm just trying to think of any sort of option to get me out of this, because 4 power is nothing when you're a Stark player.
Now, Ryan, I'm wondering, would it have been more advantageous to you, because Nathan has Wardens of the North out, to, instead of hard playing the Hound and Viserion, keeping that 6 gold to ambush the Hound and burned men to maybe get around or surprise his challenges, because he does have the upper hand with Wardens of the North?
At this point, I needed power icons. That's what's going to win the game, and Burnman does not have one, so I needed the Dragon out. The Hound, it's give or take, because actions just go right after another, so even if I ambush the Hound, he can still put people in even if I block. So I figured paying the 1 less gold, saving gold, it might be kind of minuscule at this point, but it might save me eventually. My only thought here is I need to survive another round to try and get a kill effect off of Robb. If I can kill Robb, I'm fine.
I was talking about how weak I was in military, and that's one of the reasons Wardens of the North is such an amazing plot, because I don't need a strong military presence, or I wouldn't need a strong intrigue presence with this plot. I just need one character with the icon, and my whole board becomes Tricons.
And that's why I think, Stark, Lannister, Martell, these decks that can control the challenge math, control reactions, are why they're so strong right now. Because they can determine when you're allowed to do something at any given time and who's allowed to be on the board at any given time.
I like that Nate got off his insight with Robb. How often does that happen with Meister Lewin?
Who is a one of, if I might add.
Maester Lewin's a one of, but he's an intrigue icon. I mean, I love the guy.
He's a nice guy.
He gives insight to Robb. Draw's a good thing, people. It's very helpful.
Is draw good?
I hear it's pretty good. I like what I do here. I do an intrigue challenge with Septa, forcing Ryan to block with Miri. Unopposing this would let me get the game, so I'm putting him basically with just Syrio when it's time for his challenges.
So it looks like I do block. I'm kind of forced to, and he just pops in the little weenie down there just so you can guarantee the win with it. And now I've left myself only the Hound to block. With Sansa out, she can easily just destroy him. So looks like you're swinging with a power challenge, and you still do have the option of popping Lewin's in.
So what is Sansa's strength right now? Because you have 2 characters in the dead pile, right?
5.
So she cancels with Septa, and she's going to end up being a 5. But with the plot out, you force me to block, Lewin can pop in, and you're still going to end up winning it with Renown. And that leaves my board just with Syrio.
and then Ryan cannot do... Ryan would have to just sit on his board to take Dom. Otherwise, Nate would win.
Yeah, if I don't stay, he wins just from dominance.
Thanks to that 1 gold, good thing you sat on it, Ryan.
Yeah, that's true. Nathan would have won the game right here.
No, he wouldn't. It would have been tight. The 1 gold saved, it was nice to win it, but I just needed Nate not to win it, so it wasn't key. I don't really have a good play here. It's 14-6, and my board is lackluster. So the only way I could even come back from this situation is Miri killing Rob, but without a winner plot in my deck, it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's one of the other things that Winterfell is really good at shutting down is Miri. Now, if you had other kill effects, you could use that to your advantage and bait him into using Winterfell on Miri to then get that put to the sword off on the military challenge. But unfortunately, you didn't draw a miracle. So it looks like, Nate, you round out with a push, getting that extra power since you did, in fact, go first, right? Nate went first?
I did go first because I wanted to end the game before Ryan could pull off any shenanigans.
Always great strategy. Go first, get that last power in, and that's the game. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for being patient and waiting while we went through our little hiatus. We love you. We really appreciate the support. Tune in next time for another exciting episode of Green Dreamers.